Are you confused about what type of VA disability claim you're filing or what evidence you're actually going to need? Well, don't worry, you're not alone. A lot of veterans don't understand the difference between direct service connection, secondary service connection, and presumptive. And essentially, they all need the same type of evidence, but it is a little bit different and it can be confusing on which one you should be claiming and when. So in this video, I'm going to break down the three main points or the three main types of VA claims and exactly what evidence goes with each one. But before I get started, if you're new to this or if you've been around for a little while but you're still in the journey, I do have a free VA disability brainstorm worksheet that you can use. It's a Google Sheets document. It's got 3 tabs and it basically kind of walks you through going through your service treatment records, finding things that you may have complained about, and then kind of breaking it down into like your theory on how this is service connected. And then at the end, it uses some formulas to kind of help you figure out whether or not you're there yet. It might be useful for you. It's free. If you put in the comment section below, brainstorm worksheet, I will send that to you and it's yours to use for free. So jumping into the first one. This is probably the most common one that veterans claim for, and that's direct service connection. These are things that, are clearly in your service treatment records. These are things that you may have went to the doctor and you were diagnosed or treated for whatever disability it is. You should have gotten this when you got out of the service, but if you're like me, you probably waited 10 plus years to even think about filing for a VA disability claim. You just didn't think that it was something you were eligible for. You didn't know about it. So could be so many things in your service treatment records that you can apply for, which is why I think that disability worksheet that I told you about just a few minutes ago might be important. But essentially, the direct service connection is just anything that you can directly connect to your military service. Something that you might already have evidence for in your service treatment records, or maybe it's an injury that you're exposed to, or maybe it's arthritis in your knee or something that the doctor during the military said, hey, you have this, and take some Motrin and you'll be fine. So there's a lot of things. Or maybe it wasn't that you were diagnosed with it, but maybe you started to have the symptoms early on in the military, before you got out. Maybe you reported having elbow pain or whatever it is, and now you can kind of draw a direct line back to that without a lot of issues. So some evidence that you're going to need is, number one, service treatment records, okay? Anything that helps you draw a line to that diagnosis or to that disability that you currently have. And this can just be doctor's notes, complaints from you in your doctor's notes. This can essentially be a buddy letter that says that, you were injured at this time while you're in the military. That would work there. You might need a little bit more than that, but those are the types of evidence that you need. You're also going to need a current medical diagnosis. So just because you say that your knee hurts while you were in the military back in 1999, and now you think, or now your knee still hurts and you think that you have arthritis and you're going to claim for arthritis, you need to be able to have a current medical diagnosis. So it does take some work on your part, for sure. You need to go to the doctor and get that current medical diagnosis. I have had things denied for not having a written current medical diagnosis where I just knew that I had a problem and I said I had a problem. You can get this during your C&P exam, but I don't necessarily know if you should leave it up to chance. So getting that current medical diagnosis is very important if you're going to submit that, fully developed claim. And then of course, the nexus, which I've already talked about. You're basically drawing a line from something that you currently have now as a current diagnosis to something that you had happen in the military. And as long as you can show those things, you should have success at getting a disability rating or service connected, okay? And then obviously, in those records, you wanna be able to make sure that you show them the impact that disability that you have right now, how it impacts your life, and make sure that you understand how the VA rates it so that you're not getting underrated, okay? that would end up being, your problem if you just submitted the things to show that you had service connection but didn't talk about how it affects you or how it impacts you. You need to make sure that you have those things so that the VA can appropriately rate you. The next one is a secondary service connection claim, and I don't necessarily recommend this for someone that's just starting out in the disability process, because secondary service connections require that you have a current service-connected disability. So if you have arthritis or you have a condition already that's service connection or service connected to the VA, to your military service, then you can effectively go for a secondary service connection claim. But it doesn't exactly work if you don't have something already connected something already connected to the service. And how does this work, right? So let's just say that you have chronic back pain and the VA has already given that to you as a service-connected condition. And I think a lot of veterans don't actually think about this, but if that chronic pain, causes your mental health to be a little bit off, maybe it puts you in a difficult, place. Maybe your mood changes. Maybe you're irritable. Maybe you have some level of depression or depressed mood. You could have a mental health condition, and it's okay. But that could be a great example of a secondary service-connected claim. But you don't necessarily want to, put that in until you have that already established. So some medical evidence that you're going to need. Obviously, with anything, you're going to need a current diagnosis. So you're going to need a diagnosis of whatever it is that you're claiming. In addition to that, the proof that you already have a service-connected claim. So you want to have that proof. You also want to make sure that you have some sort of evidence that shows that your current condition that's not service-connected is in fact connected to your service-connected condition. Now, how do you do that? That's the biggest question, and there's a lot of potential answers to that. Some might say that you can simply find some research online from medical studies showing that this is possible. And while I don't dispute that that's possible, I think it is possible. I just don't think that it always works, and I don't necessarily think that it will work unless you get a CMP examiner who is maybe somewhat of an expert in that and can help correlate the two together. But I will say sometimes CMP examiners don't have a lot of time to go over your condition with you, and they don't always work in your favor. So my recommendation is to maybe have those studies, but also talk to your doctor and explain to your doctor what you need for this type of, what you're trying to do with your VA disability, and try and determine if there is science out there that supports your theory. Find out if your doctor supports your theory. And if they do, make sure, and if they can help you, they can write in notes into your records, and they can explain why they think that your service-connected condition is connected to your current condition. And some things that they're going to want to, articulate that in your notes. Now, if they are willing to help you out a little bit better, they can write you a letter, a nexus letter, where it explains it. And in that letter, they're going to want to write things like, that they've reviewed your records. They're going to want to write why they think that, connection A or condition A is connected to condition B. There are some more things, and if you want me to break that down further for you, I do have an article that I wrote on my website, www.informedveteran.com. If you want the link to the actual article, just put article down below, and it'll kind of give you a step-by-step on how you can use your doctor to get this for you, okay? If your doctor doesn't feel comfortable writing it, and it's very possible that they won't, I do have on that same website, I have a directory of medical professionals who know how to do this. They know how to review your records. There's a lot of different specialties in that list on my website. find the specialty that matches with your condition, and call them or email them or send them a message on their website. That directory is free for you to use. I don't charge for it. Take a look at it. Yeah, the only thing I ask is that you review them after you use them so that other veterans can benefit from your experience. So those are the levels of evidence that you're going to need for the secondary condition. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is my favorite, because I feel like it's almost a given as long as you have the right evidence and you were there. And that's the presumptive service connection claim. If you don't already know, the VA has a list of presumptive claims. And basically, if you split it down into two categories, they have the condition and then they have the prerequisites. So if you are a post 9/11 era veteran and you served in a bunch of different locations over in the Middle East during a certain amount of time, then you have a whole host of disabilities that you can look at and decide if you have them, if you have the symptoms, and you can start building up your current diagnosis and everything else. And the VA basically presumes or assumes that if you have these, that this is automatically service connection. Probably the most popular one is ringing in the ears. If you have an MOS or a job that you were in the military that had a lot of loud noise exposures, or if you simply had loud noise exposures while you were deployed or whatever, you could be eligible for a presumptive claim on tinnitus or ringing in the ears. So that's essentially a presumptive service condition claim, and there's a lot of them out there. You just kind of got to search through them and find them. The evidence you're going to need proof that you were in where the requirements say you should be, or the time period. You need to be able to make sure that you have that. You can do that by providing your DD form 214. A lot of times, your deployment. You could write a personal statement talking about your deployment location, your dates, how long you were there. I definitely recommend a personal statement because you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. You can put down that you're filing for this as a presumptive claim so that they automatically know that and there's no guessing. And then you can also talk about how it impacts your life to make sure that you meet the criteria that you need to meet for the appropriate rating. And then, of course, you're going to need a current diagnosis. So you will need the VA or a medical doctor to say, yes, you currently have this condition. So those are, essentially the two things that you need. But your nexus is automatic because it's a presumptive condition. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't deny you, because it is possible to be denied for these conditions. There's a lot of stories out there about it. And I can't tell you why exactly without seeing decision letters, but read your decision letter and figure out why. Why did they deny you that? I think a lot of times you'll find out for like noise exposures, they'll claim that your next job caused those noise exposures. It's something that you're gonna have to try and overcome. I think it's easy to do if you just put your mind to it. I shouldn't say easy, but I think it's possible, okay? This type often requires less medical evidence, but those records that show that you were where you were supposed to be to get that presumptive claim status will be required. Okay, so just remember, the direct connection is going to need proof that you had that condition or that symptom while you were in the military. The secondary is going to need proof that it's connected or linked to the current service-connected condition. And then the presumptive just needs proof of qualifying service that you were there. Don't forget, if you want to download the brainstorm worksheet to kind of help you walk through some of this stuff, this might be helpful for you. Just click in the comment section, just type in disability worksheet. I'll send you the link free of charge. It'll help you organize your claim, I hope. Don't forget, if you're looking for a doctor or a medical professional that has expertise in writing nexus letters or evaluating your condition under an independent medical evaluation, which a lot of times these are great for increases, or just helping you out with the DBQ to submit, which are also helpful for increases. If you want to find those doctors and those medical professionals, on my website. That service is free to you. The doctors will charge you for whatever you use, but the service to find them and have a number of doctors to choose from is on my website. There's a link in the description below. I hope that helps you out. So remember, the stronger your evidence is, the better your chances. So make sure that you get organized before you file.